successful trip to Utah. Always fun when you can have a road win like that, or much less two. Kind of talk about each win individually, and then we'll get into the actual game.
Yeah, first thing, man, I'm really proud of our guys. I think, that was our fifth and sixth road game. Out of our first nine, nobody in the league has done that, has had to play that many yet, and we've traveled a lot of miles. That was the first time that we actually got to go and actually stay on the road. We've been doing these one-offs, and it's been crazy. This has been a different year for sure. And for our guys to continue to play and continue to compete, I've been talking about that. There's not a lot of teams out there that would do that, man. That would, a lot of guys would just fold, And I think that the fact that our guys have continued to compete like that, I was proud that they got the results that they wanted, this weekend. It wasn't just travel. Altitude is crazy out there as well. Cedar City's up there. It's pretty wild. You play at St. George, you drive 50 miles, and you go up like 3,000 feet. And so you could definitely see it in our guys. As we were trying to push the ball up the floor and get some easy baskets, we were having to sub a lot quicker. But I thought the staff did a great job of kind of keeping a thumb on that and making sure. I used a couple timeouts that I normally wouldn't use just for rest in the first half, and again that credit goes to my staff for just keeping me on task, the things that we talked about going into the two games. And so I think you put all that together, and that's one of the reasons we had some success. But and then it helps that some guys we hit some shots. It's the name of the game, right? It's basketball. The ball has to go through the basket, and we were able to do that this weekend.
And one big thing that I seem to notice with both games, you got back to your bread and butter, turnovers. You guys pretty much dominated on the turnover differential in those games. How big of an impact do you think that had on those wins?
Huge. I mean, that's how you get easy baskets, right? And then you start seeing layups, and you start playing a little quicker, and the next thing you know, that's when shots start to fall. It's all shooting is all confidence, right? And so I thought that I told these guys going into the week, like, look, man, if you'll just guard the way that I want you to guard, then I'll get out of your way on offense. I feel like I've kind of gotten in their way a little bit. I've been trying to kind of control the offense to make sure we get good high percentage shots and all that. Calling a lot of sets, probably more so than I've ever done in the past. And probably took it too far, to be honest with you. And I talked to the guys about that, and I said, look, man, let's just simplify all this. It's what we've been talking about all years, is simplify. And man, if we'll just turn people over and we'll get stops, then I'll get out of the way. If we're going to let guys score, then I'm gonna get out my remote control and I'm gonna control it, right? And so it's really in their hands. If they get some stops, they can play loose and free. And if we don't, then we have to slow it down a little bit and control it a little bit.
And one key factor, one key player in both those games seemed to be Hunter. Led the team in scoring on both games. How good is it to see him kind of finding that rhythm once again?
Yeah, great to see his confidence, right? A little too much as he got a technical foul Saturday night, but that was all his confidence. I really wasn't that angry with him, man, because I knew that he was kind of in the flow of things, and he really didn't deserve the technical foul he got. But I think if the score would have been a little closer, I don't think they would have gave it to him. But I think him just shooting with confidence. I think he, just like me, right? Like I said, I was trying to control the offense a little too much. I think he was overthinking everything. And I think maybe this weekend he kind of got out of his own way and just started shooting the ball. Stopped worrying about good shot, bad shot, how he's being guarded, is coach running anything for me. He let all that stuff go. And I think we saw the result. That's the Hunter that we need. When Hunter hits shots, we're usually pretty good, and that's contagious. I mean, I think Braden was 7 for 8 on one night. I don't know what he was for the weekend. He shot a really high percentage both games. All of our guys, I think as a team, we shot the ball really well. And that's not just Hunter, but I think that does help, and it is contagious, and it does help a little bit. So anyway, hopefully he can keep this going. And it doesn't matter. I told him the other day, it doesn't matter if you make shots or not. I just need you to play with that kind of confidence. And sometimes the shots go in, sometimes they don't. But if you play with confidence, good things usually happen.
And you had that kind of interesting break in between last week and the week before. How much of a factor do you think that rest played into this last week's games?
Yeah, a little bit. We had Saturday off, and so that was great. We played on a Thursday and had the weekend off, but then we immediately had to turn around and leave again and travel again, and so we knew we had two really tough opponents coming up, and so we had to get after it. we actually did practice a little bit on Saturday, and then took Sunday off. So we kind of took Friday and Sunday off and did something in between, and then we were regular work week, man. Got after it on Monday and Tuesday and traveled. And, what we did do that we haven't been doing this year is we did practice Wednesday. Usually on the travel days, we haven't been practicing. But because we've traveled so much, I still believe in that. But the problem is this year we've traveled so much that we haven't got any practice. Normally it's more spread out a little bit. And so that's, every couple of weeks that happens. And so I felt like we really needed to practice. So we practiced Wednesday, and which was a little different. I thought the guys handled it really well, and I think it helped us a little bit on Thursday. And so, we always go up when we get there, but we practiced before we left, before we got on the plane on Wednesday. And so we'll do that the rest of the time, the rest of the season. But anyway, I think that the rest was important, but it wasn't as much rest as maybe people would think.
And now you get home court advantage for the next 2 weeks. You have that little weird Saturday off again, but for the next 3 games, you're home. How good does that feel after taking so much time away?
It feels great to know that we don't have to travel. We don't have to get on a plane. Yesterday was our best travel day of the year. We got home at 10:30. But we didn't have to wake up. We didn't have a 3 a.m. wake-up call, which is what we normally are doing. So it feels good to know that we get to stay in the state of Texas for the next few weeks. But home court advantage is only good if it's actually an advantage, right? And so it's not an advantage if we don't have people in the stands and if they're not loud when they're there. And so we need the student body to show up. We need the people in Abilene to show up. There's no excuses. We need people in the arena. And then when they get here, we need them to be loud, to be in the game. And I think that we have to do that. We have to play well. That helps. And we have to make it fun for them. We have to make them want to come back. But I think now that we're actually going to be here for a little while, if they'll come support this team, I think that they will enjoy themselves. I think that they will come back. And I think we can create a home court advantage. But we have a lot of work to do to make that happen.
And one of the interesting things with the schedule is you just played Utah Tech and Southern Utah. Well, next week you're playing them again.
Yeah.
That close of proximity to the same teams, what kind of challenges does that bring when it comes to familiarity?
It's hard, man. I'm no fan of the wax scheduling, as you guys well know, and it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why. No other league in America does this stuff, but I think that to turn around, like Cal Baptist beat Southern Utah by double digits, and then had to turn around right back around and play them again, just like we did. And Southern Utah went and beat them at Cal Baptist the other night. 2 nights before they played us. And so, you can't just think, okay, man. Sometimes when there's distance between games, like most people schedule flips. Ours is weird. It's like mirroring each other. So we just play the teams we just played, and teams we played early, we don't play till the very end. So we're gonna have to stay focused and understand just because we beat these guys at their place doesn't mean that we automatically are going to beat them here. But we have a big challenge ahead of us first in Seattle, who is playing as good as anybody in the WAC right now. They're winning home games, winning road games. They got good players and a great coach, man, and Coach Victor. And so we have our hands full this week before we get to that.
And this week, winning two in a row is always nice. It might start a little something, ignite a little something. But then you play Seattle, and then you don't play for another week.
Yeah. What
kind of concern does that have of, hey, we're playing hot, we want to keep playing as much as we can?
Yeah, man. There's that scheduling again, right? But, I think it is what it is, man. We just take it and roll with it. Our goal right now is to win 3 in a row. And if we can pull that off, then we'll talk about, 4 and 5. And February, something about it. February's, been good to us, but I don't think it's just because we get into February. I think that we do every year since we've been in the WAC, we've started on the road. I don't know why we're kind of the program for that, but that does turn into not less travel in February, and I think that's played a part in it. One of the reasons we've always played well, but also the fact that these guys, I think with the leadership in the locker room and things like that, these guys never shut down. They continue to play, and I think teams that do that are the ones that have success in February. So whether we're at home, whether we're away, I expect us to. I've been telling you guys, man, just wait. I expect us to go on a little run here. Doesn't mean we're going to win them all. But I think that we're going to be pretty pleased, man. But it's going to be because of how hard we work this month and the leadership in our locker room.
So I apologize for being nosy, but you don't have to comment on this at all. But I see this on your whiteboard of things like communication, be on time, embrace your role. and that translates into, I guess, confidence, enjoyment, belief. Talk to me about that and that whole concept.
Yeah, so that's just those are words that they came up with, right? And things that are important to them that they think that we need to do to be successful, right? And we just opened the floor one day. This is a while ago, and those are the words. And they threw out a bunch more words than that. And we kind of trimmed them down and kind of what words go together, and then what do we ultimately want to get to? We want to be confident. We want to have enjoyment in what we do, right? Like we want to believe in it. We want to trust each other, and we want to be a team that's really together. But to do that, we have to embrace the little things and do those things that are right beside it. And so that's all that is. That was them taking ownership in the program. I'm a big believer in that. It's different. If I just tell you have to do this, then they don't really believe in it. It's something that they have to kind of come up with on their own. So, and it helps me hold them accountable. If Leo's not communicating, I can say, dude, that was you. That's your word. It's not mine, right? And if somebody's not doing the little things, and I can bring that up and say, man, I didn't tell you have to do that. You said you have to do that. And so it helps me a little bit on the accountability piece as well.
And last week, obviously, huge week. You warned us. You told us it was coming, that this team all of a sudden was just going to play some really good basketball. How would you say those 2 wins are really going to propel you guys as you continue in February?
Yeah, I hope they do. Right. I think it just shows these guys that they're good enough. That's a road swing that I don't think anybody's swept yet. And people always have a hard time because of the altitude and because there's no easy way to get there. If you don't charter, then you fly into Vegas and you bus for a couple hours and you do all that. So it's a hard trip. And so to go in there and play as well as we did, I think it also shows them like, hey, this is how you're successful. We've got to be great on the defensive end. And if we're great on the defensive end, then, man, all of a sudden we score more points than we've scored all year, right? And it's a little easier when you're making layups and shooting free throws than when you're working for every single shot. And that you can do that by cranking it up on the defensive end. And so I think it hopefully builds some confidence in them, gives them some belief, right, in themselves. Because when you go through a stretch like we went through, that stuff does start to disappear a little bit. And so hopefully it brings it back. And they know that the work that we're putting in is going to pay off.
And with that, you got these games coming up. What are some of the things that you thought went really well that you're hoping could continue to, on top of what you said, that could continue on in the games to come?
Yeah, I thought we used our bench really well. I thought, and again that goes back to my staff and kind of taking some ownership in that. That's one of the things that they do, right, as they help with substitution patterns and things like that. That's stuff I can't really focus on in the middle of a game. And so I thought they did a great job of really making sure that we were using the right guys in the right moments. And I think that we maybe found some things that can work. Some lineups playing together that are better than others. Guys that play a little bit better together for whatever reason. Skill sets and things like that, and so we utilized some of that this week, and I thought it worked really well. And I think so for us, that's something that I think we'll continue to do. And then I think with the players, man, just understanding, man, if we'll just keep the game simple, we make it too difficult sometimes. And if a guy's wide open in front of me, just throw him the ball. Like I know it sounds silly, but that changes the game. And I think we did a good job of doing those little simple things. And if they was seeing success like they did, hopefully they'll continue to do that. And if they do, then I think we'll continue to see that success.
And then I asked you this a very long time a while back after a game, but for the purposes of fresh answers, I'll ask you again. You have Leo and Hunter Jack, 2 international players on this team. Talk to me about having them and anytime you ever had international players and kind of what they can bring to the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love coaching international guys, right? Because I think they bring a whole new, fresh perspective, and the game is different, and it's not played the same way all the way around the world, right? And so they can bring different ideas and different thoughts. I think that honestly, they're more fundamental than the American players are today, because they actually continue to teach the fundamentals over there, where we've kind of disappeared from that a little bit, and all we do is play a bunch. And so I think they're usually ready to play quicker, just because of how they've gone through and how they come up as players. And so, but I also think that it's interesting, right? Like this game we talked about the other day. This game we owe the game everything. The game doesn't owe us anything. I mean, I'm walking around St. George, Utah, Thursday before the game, and I'm looking at the scenery around me, man, and it's one of the most beautiful places in the United States. And I'm thinking, man, I'm only here because of basketball, right? And I talked to the team about that. I said, man, the places this game has taken me, it hasn't just taken me all around this country; it's taken me around the world. And I've been able to see and do things that most people don't get to do because of basketball, and that includes players. I mean, somebody like Leo coming from Italy, to Abilene, Texas, Hunter Jack Madden and Tobias Cameron and YG and the kids we've had from Australia, like to bring all that together, it's pretty amazing. It's fun to be around. It keeps me, entertained as Leo's learning English, and it's just fun. And again, I think it's great for the game. It's great for the program. It's something we'll continue for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
There were some good basketball games yesterday, too.
Pretty good week you guys had. Being able to sweep the Utah teams right here at home. Kind of talk about how good it felt to pick up a couple of big wins in conference.
I thought our players did a great job of just getting prepared this week and, learning two completely different styles of play with Utah Tech and then follow that up with Southern Utah. Really liked the energy. Our players had opportunities to get in the gym and get up extra shots this week, and I think it really paid off for us. You have to take advantage of the time at home, whether it's getting in the gym and putting up extra shots or spending more time in the training room or spending more time with your coach watching video, and I thought our players did a really good job of capitalizing on that. So pleased with their effort. I thought the Thursday night game was very well played. It gave us momentum Friday and Saturday rolling into that Southern Utah game.
And I wasn't able to turn and check out that Thursday game, but Saturday, it seemed like everybody had some really good energy. You mentioned it, even you. I mean, I think I saw you jump up to give Bella a high five before the game. Just talk about how contagious having that good energy can be, and how helpful it is to win it when it comes to playing a game.
Our team is really having fun playing together. They really love each other, love spending time together, and I think sometimes you see that coming out on the court. They're just really having fun. But Saturday is the first time since I've been at ACU that we've had pink uniforms, and we revealed those about 5 o'clock Friday afternoon. They had no idea. We've been hiding those since the summer. They've been in the back of our closet, and so they were really excited. And I could tell when we met pregame, we meet about 11:30 for 1 o'clock games, and they were already kind of bouncing off the walls. I think they just kind of felt good about how they looked, and they were excited about something new, and that really, I think, transferred over into the game as well.
And what I mean, you've been coaching for a long time. Never had a pink jersey before. What made you want to get one this year?
Bella and Zoe. I don't think players have ever asked me about uniforms as much as they have here, and this last spring I thought I'm going to get pink uniforms for Zoe and Bella. I think that'll be a really fun way for them to kind of finish out their careers with us, playing a couple of games in pink jerseys. They're super expensive. You wear them like twice. And nowadays, everybody changes their numbers all the time, so we're going to be, filling in a lot. But I thought it was worth it for Bella and Zoe just to do something I knew would be really special for them. So why'd I do it? For Bella and Zoe.
Awesome. And talking about those games, we all know you can score a ball, shoot the ball, but it seemed to be the defensive effort that you wanted to emphasize last week. That seemed to be the case again, at least going into the Southern Utah game. I think you had double-digit turnovers in the first half. How big of a role does that play? That you guys are playing really, really well defensively, especially when it comes to wins.
You know, it's February. We're kind of on the downhill, starting to, play the last few conference games. And this is the time of the year your team needs to be all on the same page defensively. And there's nobody that you can play and be successful against in the WAC if you're not playing team defense. It can't be one or two people getting after it. It's got to be the whole team. And this week our players did a really good job of just playing off of each other, making sure ball pressure was good, but being in gaps one pass away, denying passes when you're supposed to deny, trapping the ball when you're supposed to trap, and just really trusting one another. So, just proud of them. I think it was just their belief system in one another and what we were asking them to do.
And one of the big differences I've seen is Aaron Woodson's really kind of stepped into that starter role, especially since Peyton got hurt. How good is it to see that a transfer coming in, kind of skittish when she first gets that start, and now she's kind of taken over that mantle?
Erin has taken full advantage of her new minutes. She is doing a great job scoring for us. She understands how to run everything offensively, and I feel like week by week she's getting better with her on-ball defense, getting better, blocking out, trying to get after rebounds, and so just really proud of Erin. She has to be one of the most coachable players on our team, whether it's in practice or it's in a game, whatever we ask of her, she really tries to make that adjustment and understands we're just trying to help her be more successful on the floor, but very, very coachable, high character kid in Erin Woodson, but she's doing a great job for us.
Now, you get a tough road stretch. You're going to Seattle and then you're going to Utah. But you get a little bit of a break in between. Kind of talk about how that can be actually helpful of having that no Saturday game going into that Utah team.
Yeah, we have zero control over our WAC schedule. It's just real interesting. I was talking to the Southern Utah coach before the game, and, they had played 4 opponents twice already, and they were done with those, and hadn't even seen us yet. And so it's pretty interesting, but, I don't care. I mean, send us on the road, play at home, whatever. Our staff just has to make sure our team's ready to go. But we're excited about going to Seattle. It seems like forever since we played them. And, we're excited to take this team on the road. We have been really focused on the road. Maybe not so much when we travel in a bus, but when we fly, we seem to be like razor focused. And so glad to be getting on a plane, going out of state. But we just have one game this week. And so we're going to pour all of our effort and energy into preparing for that one game. And then we'll have Saturday off again. We don't have a game Saturday, so give us a little extra time to recover. Our next week is new for us, though. We actually play on Wednesday instead of Thursday. So we'll be working out on Sunday. We haven't had a Sunday workout since conference started, so we'll work out, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We'll head to play the Utah schools. So next week will be a little different for us, but have a 2-day prep for that second game next week. So, but anyway, this week, we're locked in, loaded to take care of business on the road in Seattle.
And if I'm not mistaken, Seattle, you haven't played Seattle since the literal start of conference.
Second game of conference.
So how do you deal with such a long period of time passing before seeing the conference opponent, especially because of how important every conference game is right now?
Yeah. It was only our second game of conference play, and we were just so upset after dropping our first conference game. We took a little bit out on Seattle. I thought our kids did a really good job getting ready for that prep, and but our team is completely evolved. We've got different people starting. We're doing some things differently since we played them, and Seattle, I'm sure, has evolved as well. So it's almost like starting over with the scout. I mean, they'll have the same personnel, but we'll have to learn a brand new scout, I'm sure. Coach Weitenheimer has been working on that scout, and we'll start talking about it today. But yeah, it's almost like playing, a brand new opponent, except you are familiar with the personnel.
And I know you guys are playing Wednesday. Does that mean, are you going to be here next Monday? Otherwise, I won't talk about it.
I will be here next Monday, but we leave on Tuesday.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I'll ask
Okay.
about the Utah take
Okay.
next week.
Yeah.
But then my last thing is Bella did what Bella does. She leads the team in scoring. It's almost, I think she gets a double-double. I mean, what more can you say about Bella Earl and her impact on this team?
I literally texted that to her mom. Her mom had texted me after the game, and I said, well, Bella did what Bella does. She was everywhere. And I was grading the film this weekend, and she was jumping 25 inches off the ground to get pull down defensive rebounds and then immediately hitting lead passes down the floor. And some of the shots she made in the paint were tough. They were shots we want her to take, but they were hard, and thought she played really, really well. She was one rebound short of another double-double, and I took her out, and one of my assistants were like, Coach, she only needs one more rebound. I said, she's literally been out there for over 30 minutes. We need to get her out. But just a very well-played game by Bella.
And having her just setting the example for every player, whether they're a junior, sophomore, or freshman, how good is that to have somebody like that?
Bella's work ethic, she's led us with her work ethic example since she was a freshman. She doesn't do anything half speed. Everything is full speed. We have to sub her out sometimes because she just stays out on the floor too much, like in practice. And she just goes really, really hard. But I think that's a great illustration of what she does in her life. She's a straight A student. She gets involved in everything she can on our campus. She's constantly writing notes to her teammates and calling her teammates, and she just goes 100% at everything she does. And just her belief that God has a great purpose for her. I think she's constantly, seeking God's will in her life. And I don't think you can truly say you're following God's will if you're not going 100% with everything that you're doing. And so Bella really exhibits that. She exudes Jesus in everything that she does and just goes 100%.
So as the men's team, this as well, big week for both programs. How do you think winning these two games is going to propel you guys, as you continue on in February and the rest of the season?
Well, I feel like we have a lot of momentum from this past week, and we just want to keep building on that. And definitely traveling all the way to Seattle, Washington, we've got to be sharp and be ready to go. And everybody in the program understand it is a business trip. And we really focus on just one game at a time, and we only have one game this week, and we're going to get locked in with that and be fully prepared as we go into that game. But it's a big deal to string wins together, and we had a pretty good streak going before we came into conference play, and so we want to build on all of these wins for sure and just build on the momentum that we created this past week.
And then what philosophically would you say kind of clicked before the two games last week? Was there any real change you saw?
I think getting embarrassed on the road, 2 straight games, really was like a kick in the stomach to us, and our players responded the way we would expect them to respond. It's like, that was not Wildcat basketball. It was weak sauce, and we've got to get back to Wildcat basketball.
Getting back to Wildcat basketball, you got one game this week, and we're winding down the season. What are some of the things you're looking for from this team?
A team that plays together on defense, 5 people all having each other's back, a team that really shares the basketball. They work to get the very best shot and not just an okay shot. And a team that just really rallies behind each other on offense and defense, regardless of what the score is, constant communication and just encouraging one another.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you all.
Coach Kunzares has officially started at Abilene Christian, so
Yeah.
congratulations on that. Just to
Thanks.
start off. Long week. You got
Yeah.
a tough tournament against a lot of really good teams. Still searching for win number one. That's all right. Hopefully you'll be here for a long time. Just talk about the week in general, and what you saw from your team's first games of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what preseason is for. I had this, I scheduled it this way for a reason. I knew that we had the opportunity to go out and play some really good competition this weekend, and also give me the opportunity to see our team in those scenarios. I spent a lot of time, if you look at our lineups, they were all over the place, moving people around, trying to see what we could do with different athletes in different scenarios. And again, that's what preseason is for. It's about finding out where we need to get better at, what we are good at, where I want to put people in the situations that we're in, giving our staff, our pitching staff, an opportunity to all get out there and find their footing along defensively, just, deciding where we need to put different athletes depending on who's on the mound, and then offensively as well, just getting a good feel of where we're at and what we need to do. So was proud of how they competed, especially our last game against A&M. That was a good showing for us after we had kind of a rough game that morning earlier. And I tell our team a lot that the power's in the response, and especially in a game like softball, you have to be able to respond quickly when things don't go your way. So was proud of them and their ability to come back from that.
And it seemed like you guys got better over the weekend, with each game played, culminating in a really, really good game against the number 7 team in the country in A&M. Giving up only 3 hits, giving up only 1 run. What does that say about your team, that they're able to bounce back that quickly against a team that's in the top 10 of the country?
Yeah, and that's something that we have talked about since day one. It's like you want to live in those moments and love those games that you get to play in. I mean, to be in A&M and play against them in front of, a huge crowd, like those are the moments you dream of as a kid. So just told them that they needed to be excited about that, and I think they've been looking forward to it. And then to also show up and perform, to the level that we're capable of was awesome. I mean, Coach Hines called a great game. Lena threw a great game. And the game is a game of inches. That ball doesn't tip off of Lista's glove, and, we're in at 0-0. We get one clutch hit, and, we're right there with them. So it was awesome to see. A really cool moment for me. Coach Ford's a great coach, and we grew up in the same area, and so she was actually one of the first people to recruit me, and so she's seen me since I was 16 until now, and so that was really special, just getting to be there and experience that. And I know that, we're going to be at that level and be able to compete with them again. And if we want to make regionals, that's where we're going to get sent. We're not leaving Texas. I mean, if we do, we're going to Oklahoma. So there's just a lot of great softball in this area, and so to be in that environment and get used to playing in that place is it was really invaluable to our team.
And your first stint as a head coach for ACU, what kind of nerves did you have kind of going into that first game? I know you guys probably played scrimmage games before the season, but it's a little bit different when the games start to count. Kind of talk about the nerves that you had.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really wasn't that nervous. I was excited. I think, softball is still softball, whether you're, the head coach or not. And so I think I was just more excited to see our athletes get out there and have the opportunity to compete against somebody else than ourselves. And, for me as a coach, having our staff, like, it felt very natural. Like it wasn't anything that we hadn't done or hadn't practiced. And I think, from this weekend, we're only going to keep getting better and growing together, both as a staff and then also our athletes as a team.
And now you, this upcoming week, another long week. You're going to Commerce, taking on a newly minted new East Texas A&M.
Yeah.
It's always going to be Commerce. But,
Sure.
Talk about why, I think it's 10 games in 2 weeks. Talk about just how tough of a schedule that can be and how valuable that experience is.
Yeah, softball, it's just kind of like that. It's just one of those sports that's really different. I know I was talking to Rick about it, and he's like, you guys go through the gauntlet. And I'm like, it's not just us, though. It's everybody in the country. It's just what everybody does. So it's really normal that we play, 20 games in 4 weeks and 25 games in 5 weeks. It's pretty just how the schedule rolls. So we were prepared for it. I think, it's about recovery. How fast, like I said, can you bounce back? Excited about what we have this weekend. I think we have a great opportunity to compete against the teams that we're going up against. And, the best learning experiences are done on the field. Sometimes you can't teach them that in practice. So we'll just keep getting better. And I think, again, this is a great opportunity for us to do that.
And what are some of the biggest differences that you saw coming into the season? I know you can see some things in practice. But when it's game time, it's a little bit different. What are some of the biggest differences you saw between practice and games?
Yeah, we're just a younger team. I think young in the sense we haven't been together a long time. They haven't been with me a long time, and then just young experience-wise as well. So just really trying to get our athletes in those moments. Like I said, just put them in that situation so they get used to being in it. And just because they haven't been in it before doesn't mean they can't perform when they're there. So that's a big thing for us going forward. And I think, we have some things to work on, definitely. I mean, there's opportunity for us to be sharper in the circle. There's definitely opportunities for us to be better on defense. I think that was probably the most, I wouldn't say shocking, just the biggest difference in how we practice and how we play. It's just different when you're in the game. That pressure's on a little bit differently. So just learning from those moments. And then offensively, just needing to make adjustments a little bit quicker, and they'll get better as we go on, just learning the game plan, learning themselves, and really just trusting their preparation. We talk about that a lot, and I think that they are now well-versed, that they were fully prepared. We just didn't necessarily execute in the moments that we needed to.
So I'm Bradley, by the way.
Hi,
Nice to
Bradley.
meet you. I usually ask a lot of the coaches rose and thorn a lot of the time, like if you know what that is, like something good, something bad. So going back to this, 5-game tournament against some really good teams, what were rose and thorn that you saw?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just talked about it a little bit. I think pitching staff, I think that there were some really good moments. Obviously, Lena threw a great game against A&M, so that was huge for her and her confidence. I think she was one of the ones that was a little bit more like worried about going into the season, and just to see her to come and throw like that was just really good for her and going forward. I think offensively, we put up a lot of runs. I know that a couple of people had come up to me and told me that was more runs than they have scored in a long time, so I think that is great for our run production. We're going to need to be able to do that and do it consistently. And then, like I said, I think on the backside defense, like we just have to be better all around, and there's no excuse for that. That's a very controllable part of the game, so we are going to work on that and move forward.
And then you look later on in the schedule, you got to play number 3 Oklahoma twice, and a lot of really good schools.
Sure.
What does that say, I guess, about expectations for the program, for yourself, and how do you guys prepare to meet those?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're going to be a championship team, you're going to go up against those teams. And I think they give you a great opportunity to see where you're good and where you need to get better. And every time that you do that, you're going to get better from it, regardless of the outcome. And yeah, we played a great game against A&M, and I think that proved that we can do it. And so I think that we'll have that same mentality going into Oklahoma, going into Texas, going into Texas Tech, anybody that you face that's in that top 25. And, those are the moments, like I said, that you want to be in and really learn from and grow from. So I know our kids aren't scared of it. I'm not scared of it. I think, everyone's like, oh, it's a tough schedule. We're going to keep playing it. We live in a great place to do it. And like I said, it's a great measurable to know what we need to work on and how we need to get better.
No holds barred in year 1, huh? No holds barred.
That's right. That's right.
Full speed ahead. this game week, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Just talk about the excitement that you're seeing and that you have for being able to play actual baseball games this week.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's nothing says college baseball like 38 degrees outside and a little wet and dreary today. But you're right. It always seems to sneak up on us a little bit. You know, you're opening up. This year we're on the road, but I think there's a ton of momentum around our program right now. The facility we've got going, I think we got a good core nucleus back from the group. You know, our coaching staff pretty much have been able to retain the majority of them the last couple of years. So I think there's a good cohesion in that regard. Super thankful for those guys and what they do for our program day to day. I think our roster's in a really good place right now. There's a lot of support. Community's got a buzz about it, so we're ready to get things going.
And just how exciting is it to see, just as a coaching staff, you guys compete against another team? I know you guys have been scrimmaging and doing a lot of that against yourself, but when there's someone else in the other dugout, that's when it kind of starts. How excited are you to see how your guys will respond and compete against that team?
Yeah, that's what they're here for. I mean, they want to play outside competition. We want to challenge our guys to play good people. Defending Big Ten champs to open up this year, so a 36-win team and a team I think that was 18-6 in the Big Ten last year. So we're going to learn a lot of things this weekend. I do think we've got a group that's going to compete at a high level. There's going to be some moments where we're exposed, I'm sure, as there always are opening weekends. But hopefully we'll go down and just play clean baseball. That's the goal. Compete at a high level, put pressure on them defensively, pound the strike zone on the pitching staff, make the routine, dominate the routine play, and the things that we discuss daily. So I know our guys are excited about it. Looking forward to playing down in Corpus Christi at Whataburger Field.
And you get a nice test early on with the Big Ten champs, but you're also on the road. How good is that to see that you guys are going to be on the road, getting tested early, to see kind of how your team responds early on?
Yeah, I think again, regardless of who you're playing this weekend, you're going to find out some things that you just don't know. Fortunately, we were able to play 2 games this fall against outside competition. We did that as part of a mission trip in the Dominican Republic. So a little bit different logistical in that regard. But so we've got to play someone else. But this will be the first time you go through it. And we've got a lot of new faces on our roster. We've got 20 new faces, actually. So it'll be their first time going through an ACU pregame, an ACU travel. So there's going to be some learning curve with it. Hope you lean on the guys that have been in our program for a while, and hope that they shed some light on what that looks like, and sets everyone up just to go out and play. I think that's the point where you're not worried about all the other things. It's just baseball, man. When the first pitch is thrown, you're trying to play cleaner than the other team, and so if we do that, we'll have a chance to win 3 games, I hope. And if we don't do that, we probably won't have a chance to win 3 games. That's just how the game's played. So we're excited to get our group on the field and go. And Whataburger Field's it's a great complex. We've played there in the past. It's a great venue for our guys to play in. So we're excited.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're going on 4 straight 30-win seasons.
Yeah.
It's kind of an expectation here at ACU now. What kind of pressure does it kind of come with to have those kinds of lofty expectations, to be able to win 30 games every year, especially like you said, you have 20 new faces in the program. Kind of just talk about that pressure.
Yeah, I don't know. We look at it as pressure. I think it's just an expectation. We want to challenge ourselves to be better each and every day. I think when that happens, your team becomes better. And then we don't want to just be known as a good team. We want to be known as a good baseball program. So we are proud of that. I think in terms of being one of 3 schools actually in the state of Texas that are non-Power 5 schools that have won 30 games 4 consecutive years. There's some consistency with that. We're by no means where we want to be. I think there's a lot of room and space to get to the ceiling of our program. But when you think back to the 2021 group that won 36 and kind of opened the door, with the Southland Conference Championship, the 22 and 23 and 24. Now here we are in 25, and this group's got a chance to write their own story. And chapter 1 will be on Friday. So hopefully at the end of this book, end of this story, if you will, then we're doing some things that we haven't done yet in our program, which is playing in the postseason.
And I'm going to highlight one specific player. It's Maddox behind the plate.
Yeah.
You're kind of a pitcher. You're a pitcher guy. How good is it to have a veteran like Maddox behind the plate, kind of controlling the staff, being able to set the tone early for your team, and just having that calming voice that, hey, we've done this before.
Yeah, Maddox is great. I think we've got some really good leaders. How college baseball is now, it's hard to have a guy like Miller Ladisall and Austin Glaze, who played their whole college career here, 5 years with their COVID year. Jack Nielsen's got an opportunity to do that here. So I would highlight Jack first, just a guy that's been here. He's super seasoned. He plays a lot of different positions and adds a ton of value for us as a glue guy, if you will. Super steady personality, good work ethic. Maddox and Zant Payne, and there's plenty of other guys when I think of up the middle that come back with some experience. But yeah, Maddox super versatile. This will be his third year in our program. He's played every day. True freshman. He had 4 walk-off hits as a true freshman. So he's got some experience to draw from. What we're charging him with and Zant with and Jack with and Ben Greer with and some of those guys that have been around the block with us is getting all the other guys prepped and ready for that. Because what we do know this year, it's Maddox is going to have to help Brady Gray, understand what that looks like so he can immediately step in as a freshman as he did and play. And all the other guys, I think as you look at it, whether they're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, new, just again, what's it look like to be an ACU baseball player? I think they've done a great job of that in the fall. We've had very, very little drama, throughout the fall. They crushed it in the classroom. We had a 3.57 GPA. There's just a great cohesion with our group right now. I don't know what it's going to look like at the end, but there's a really good vibe and a ton of momentum within our locker room right now.
Awesome. So this is an experienced group you mentioned, and there's been some success throughout your time here. What would you say? Give me like a checklist of your goals for the team this season.
Yeah, we don't talk a ton about goals, but I think the 35 win mark is a good goal, I think, in collegiate baseball. I think when you look at if you're in that 35 plus win a year, you're giving yourself a chance to be positioned in a conference tournament in a good way. If you get closer to 40, then you're in the conversation of potential at-large bids. So like that 35 to 40 window is one that I hope we continue to knock the door down with. Obviously, we want to finish as high as we can in the league to position ourselves as best we can in the WAC tournament. We talk a ton about just getting better. I know that's coaching cliche, but that's what we're going to get each week. We reframe each Monday 0-0, and this week we're 0-0, but so we will be next Monday 0-0. I think that's the only way you kind of push throughout the spring and handle the highs and lows when you may not be playing well. You may not be winning every game you're playing. So, just to continue to elevate, I think it's always neat for a team to do something that no team has ever done before. 36 wins was the case 2 years ago. Hopefully we can eclipse that. That'd be great. Finish in first place. We finished in second in the WAC. As I mentioned earlier, we won the Southland Conference, so there's a first place finish there. So there's that. And then at the end of the day, we're trying to win the WAC tournament to guarantee our spot in the postseason. So that would certainly feel like a step forward, I think, from a programmatic standpoint.
So you mentioned a lot of guys that have had experience and been here for a long time, but I'm going to open it up to kind of the whole team and younger guys. Who are some names, who are some guys that you kind of want to highlight as players to watch going into the season?
It's a dangerous game here on a Monday morning. There's a lot of moving parts. I would miss someone. I think when we talk about our whole team, I think as we've started from August and we've kind of got to where we are now, I feel really good about our pitching depth. I feel really good about our pitching, our starting 4 or 5 guys that I feel like that are going to be able to go out there and give us some length. We've got a couple of guys that are returning from injuries last year that'll be available here early on in the spring that hopefully we can sprinkle back in as we go. So I think it always starts with on the mound, So what does that look like? Do you have guys that can compete? Do you have guys with real stuff? how does your starting rotation line up with the people that we're going to play? I do feel pretty confident that the guys that we're going to roll out there to start the game on the weekend will look and from a physical standpoint and a performance standpoint give us a shot to win all 3 games on a weekend. I think offensively there is going to be a lot of new. I think when you look at the roster, we lost a couple of really good players last year that were all conference. Ben Greer's returning from just a preseason all-conference standpoint. But up the middle, I think it's where it starts. That's going to look a little different. So I think the story offensively, I think the story defensively is going to have a chance to have some ebb and flow to it here opening weekend, but also I think over the next month until we get ready for WAC play.